outside the epicenter of Hubei, China's total number of confirmed cases stand around 80,000. More than half of them have recovered, while 2,900 have died from the virus. And outside Hubei, the eastern province of Zhejiang reported the most new cases on Monday. 7 patients all traveled from Italy. And outside China, more than 10,000 cases have been reported in 70 countries, with Ukraine as the latest country to report its first case. And South Korea has also over 5,000 cases, with over 800 new infections. Italy has the largest number of infections outside Asia, surpassing 2,000. And Iran is the worst hit country in the Mideast, with over 1,500 cases and 66 deaths. Japan has registered nearly 1,000 infections, and the World Health Organization is voiced concern over the COVID-19 spread outside China.
In the last 24 hours, there were almost 9 times more cases reported outside China than inside China. The epidemics in the Republic of Korea, Italy, Iran, and Japan are our greatest concern.
South Korea's President Moon Jae-in has declared war on the novel coronavirus as the number of infections mounts up in the country. It has today announced more than 5 cases, the highest rate outside China. For more, let's talk to our correspondent in Daegu, Tony Chung. Well, Tony, these are strong words from President Moon. But are they too late in terms of the response to the COVID-19?
Well, I think we've seen a fairly robust response from the public health authorities here in Korea already. They've been working very hard to try and identify the sources of virus outbreak, particularly in Daegu, where they've been focusing on the activities of a church sect, which seem to be spreading, where the virus is spreading very quickly. They had some difficulties with that church. There was an awful lot of secrecy involved. The church didn't want to reveal its membership. At the time they did find out, many of the members had spread across South Korea and had taken the virus with them. However, they are now on top of that. They've conducted more than 120,000 coronavirus tests in the last couple of weeks. President Moon said other problems were being addressed, particularly the shortage of face masks. He said they were working at full pace to try and get more onto the market. They were banning the export of face masks, and they were going to prioritize areas, particularly those in places like Daegu, where there are a very high number of infections. Make sure they got to the people who need them most, particularly health and medical officials who will obviously be in direct contact with those infected. So I think doing what they can. They're aware that there is still an awful lot to do. Very high number of new infections recorded today, more than 800, as you mentioned. So I think they're aware that there's a mountain to climb. Nonetheless, they're trying to be as transparent as they possibly can with the public, and they're hoping that the public will come forward and get themselves tested if they feel there's a need, particularly isolate themselves if they feel they're at risk.
So the spike of the new infections, has it anything to do with the efficiency of the diagnostic methods? Because if so, we know that it seems there was an operating a drive-through coronavirus testing centers, and a lot of people were tested capital. And also about that, the leader said it seems its leader has tested negative.
Indeed it has, but I think that's part of the problem. He had already claimed that he'd done a test. I think the authorities were pretty wary of that claim, so they made him do it again yesterday. That has been part of the problem, because this church in particular hid information from public health officials who were aware there was a spike in infections coming from their central headquarters in Daegu. It meant that they lost effectively 2 weeks before they could track down the people who they thought were at risk. In that time, of course, they then dispersed into the general public. Some of them even went back to the church and were taking part in these large congregations of more than 1,000 people in very packed rooms. Obviously, that is a place where the virus has spread very quickly too. And we know that more than 70% of South Korea's infections originated in Daegu, and we assume those, for the most part, amongst the members of this sect. Nonetheless, the authorities here in South Korea, I think, realize they can't do much about that now, and their policy appears to be to try and get as many people tested as possible. We went to one of those drive-through testing facilities. They're very well organized. They are trying to isolate those who are concerned about their health from the medical professionals who are testing them as much as possible. And in the instances where there is human-to-human contact, they're trying to minimize any risk at all. The tests are still taking 3 days to come back. There is quite a complicated process involved. But I think the attitude of the authorities here in South Korea is that if they can get the test done, they can work out who needs to be isolated, who is positive, and then they can deal with the problems from there.
All right. Thank you so much, Tony, for your update from Daegu.